we get angry. But in the moment that we feel anger, we are not reflective or rational. We merely ride the emotion and point fingers. We could say something similar about a whole slew of emotions that we feel. Specific types of events trigger sudden confidence, or insecurity, or anxiety, or attraction to a particular person, or hunger for attention. Let us call the collection of these forces that push and pull at us from deep within human nature. Human nature stems from the particular wiring of our brains, the configuration of our nervous system, and the way we humans process emotions, all of which developed and emerged over the course of the 5 million years, or SUF, our evolution as a species. We can ascribe many of the details of nurture to the distinct way we evolved as a social animal to ensure our survival, learning to cooperate with others, coordinating our actions with the group on a high level, creating novel forms of communication and ways of maintaining group discipline. This early development lives in within us and continues to determine our behavior, even in the modern, sophisticated world we live in. To take one example, look at the evolution of human emotion. The survival of our earliest ancestors depended on their ability to communicate with one another well before the invention of language. They evolved new and complex emotions: joy, shame, gratitude, jealousy, resentment, etc. The signs of these emotions could be buried immediately on their faces, communicating their moods quickly and effectively. They became extremely permeable to the emotions of others as a way to bind the group more tightly together, to feel joy or grief as one, or to remain united in the face of danger. To this day, we humans remain highly susceptible to the moods and emotions of those around us, compelling all kinds of behavior on our part, unconsciously imitating others, wanting what they have, getting swept up in viral feelings of anger or outrage. We imagine we're acting off our own free will, unaware of how deeply our susceptibility to the emotions of others in the group is affecting what we do and how we respond. We can point to other such forces that emerged from this deep past and that similarly mold our everyday behavior. For instance, our need to continually rank ourselves and measure our self-worth through our status is a trait that is noticeable among all hunter-gatherer cultures, and even among chimpanzees, as are our tribal instincts, which cause us to divide people into insiders or outsiders. We can add to this primitive qualities our need to wear masks to disguise any behavior that is frowned upon by the tribe, leading to the formation of a shadow personality from all the dark desires we have repressed. Our ancestors understood this shadow and its dangerousness, imagining it originate from spirits and demons that needed to be exorcised. We rely on a different myth. Something came over me. Once this primal current or force within us reaches the level of consciousness, we have to react to it, and we do so depending on our individual spirit and circumstances, usually explaining it away superficially without really understanding it. Because of the precise way in which we evolved, There are a limited number of these forces of human nature, and they lead to the behavior mentioned above: envy, grandiosity, irrationality, short-sightedness, conformity, aggression, and passive aggression, to name a few. They also lead to empathy and other positive forms of human behavior. For thousands of years, it has been our fate to largely grope in the shadows when it comes to understanding ourselves and our own nature. We have labored under so many illusions about the human-animal imagining we descended magically from a divine source, fromingles instead of primates. We have found any signs of our primitive nature and our animal roots deeply distressing, something to deny and repress. We have covered up our darker impulses with all kinds of excuses and rationalizations, making it easier for some people to get away with the most unpleasant behavior. But finally, we're at a point where we can overcome our resistance to the truth about who we are through the sheer weight of knowledge we have now accumulated about human nature. We can exploit the vast literature in psychology amassed over the last 100 years, including detailed studies of childhood and the impact of our early development: Melanie Klein, John Bowlby, Donald Winnicott, as well as works on the roots of narcissism: Heinz Kohut, the shadow sides of our personality: Carl Jung, the roots of our empathy: Simon Baron-Cohen, and the configuration of our emotions: Paul Ekman. We can now cull the many advances in the sciences that can aid us in our self-understanding: studies of the brain: Antonio Damasio, Joseph E. Ledoux; of our unique biological makeup: Edward O. Wilson; of the relationship between the body and the mind: V.S. Ramachandran; of primates: Franz de Waal; and hunter-gatherers: Jared Diamond; of our economic behavior: Daniel Kahneman; and of how we operate in groups: Wilfred Bion, Elliot Aronson. We can also include in this the works of certain philosophers: Arthur Schopenhauer, Friedrich Nietzsche, Jose Ortega y Gasset. who have illuminated so many aspects of human nature, as well as the insights of many novelists: George Eliot, Henry James, Ralph Ellison, who are often the most sensitive to the unseen parts of our behavior. And finally, we can include the rapidly expanding library of biographies now available, revealing human nature in depth and in action. This book is an attempt to gather together this immense storehouse of knowledge and ideas from different branches. See the bibliography for the key sources to piece together an accurate and instructive guide to human nature, basing itself on the evidence, not on particular viewpoints or moral judgments. It is a brutally realistic appraisal of our species, dissecting who we are so we can operate with more awareness. Consider the laws of human nature a kind of codebook for deciphering people's behavior: ordinary, strange, destructive, the full gamut. Each chapter deals with a particular aspect or law of human nature. We can call them laws in that, under the influence of the elemental forces, we humans tend to react in relatively predictable ways. Each chapter has the story of some iconic individual or individuals who illustrate the law negatively or positively.